Hey guys, it's Zona and welcome to my channel. So the video is finally here. The best drugstore highlighters. And I know you guys have been waiting for a very long time, but I am genuinely very impressed by how many amazing drugstore highlighters there are. I've been testing a lot the last couple of months, like a lot. And I honestly didn't think I would have this many to share with you guys, but I mean, I guess it's helpful. You get all these little mini reviews of all these drugstore highlighters, so I figured it's still helpful and they're all amazing. And we have a lot of different formulas, so whether you're looking for something metallic, gloss, wet, satin, more natural, whatever you're looking for, we have an option for you today. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so to start this off with a true banger. Sorry, I never say that. This is the Model's Own Sculpt and Glow Highlighter Powder. This is in the shade Golden Sand, and this is clearly not golden at all. It has a very icy champagne pink tone to it, but oh my gosh, this is mind-blowingly blinding. This product is so underrated in my opinion. You might have heard of it, but this deserves so much more attention. This is not for the subtle. So if you want a natural, pretty, glowy highlighter, this is not for you. To the touch, this highlighter definitely has a bit of a drier formula, but once you apply it on the skin, it is literally the epitome of a wet metallic glow. It is insane. Now on the complete total opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Essence Pure Nude highlighter. This one's in the shade 10 Be My Highlight. This is the embodiment of the perfect bridal glow. This has such a beautiful, soft, almost like candlelit satin ribbon type of glow. I feel like that's the best way I would describe it. It has no color cast to it whatsoever. I find this shade is extremely universal because of that. It adds a very soft, glossy effect to the skin. You're not going to get a powdery look with this whatsoever. If you're someone who's struggling to find a highlighter that's not going to emphasize wrinkles or skin texture or look too over the top and fake, I would highly recommend this. This honestly will give you like the effect of a cream highlighter, but it's in a powder form, so it's super easy to work with. It's not intimidating in the slightest, and it looks so natural and beautiful on everyone. Next, we have the Makeup Revolution and Soph highlighter palette. This truly wowed me the first time I used this, and I'd say that with this palette, you're getting the best deal for your money if you're looking for highlighters at the drugstore, because it's super affordable and you literally get 8 in here. The majority of the shades are very wearable, perfect for every day, but then you get some fun pops of color like a pink and a purple. Even the pink is even quite wearable in my opinion. These are very intense. At first, if you go in with a light layer, these are going to give you a wet, glossy looking effect to the skin, but the more you build it up, the more makeup-y and metallic it will look. Not makeup in like a bad way, but just more obviously metal looking. So as you can see, we have 2 different types of highlighter formulas in here. We have a baked formula and then the regular press powder formula. The baked ones are definitely more metallic. They really pack a punch, and the other ones still very intense, or just more on the glossy side. But like I said earlier, the more you build it up, the more highlighted effect you will get. But even with that, these blend so beautifully and seamlessly into the skin. These are incredible. This is such a good deal. Next, we have the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in the shade Flexitarian. This is legendary on YouTube. Everyone talks about this shade, so I'm sure I don't need to, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is one of my all-time favorite formulas. This is one of the most incredible formulas I have ever seen on the market. I love all of Colourpop Super Shock highlighters, at least the ones that of course fit my skin tone, but this one is by far the most impressive. This shade Flexitarian truly looks like mirrored glass on your skin. It is so intense and so wet looking, it'll blow your mind. The moment you put this on, you truly embody a wet avant-garde photo shoot. This is a very fun, wet marshmallow kind of cushiony formula to the touch. The best way to apply these, in my opinion, is with your finger. I'll dab it on. That will give it like the most impact and intensity. And then I'll take a dampened sponge and blend out the edges, and the effect is perfection. Again, if you're someone who struggles with any type of texture, you have to try out this formula. Maybe you wouldn't want this shade in particular just because of how intense it is, but this formula as a whole is so beautiful and natural looking because it truly looks like a part of your skin because of how it melts in. This shade in particular looks very icy on my skin. If they could come out with a more golden champagne color in this exact intensity and formula, that would be like my all-time favorite highlighter ever, but I still wear this all the time because it's incredible. And even though this is a cream formula, you don't ever have to worry about it applying funky on top of your powder products. Wear it alone on a natural day on top of powder products, do whatever you want with it. The only downside with this is that I would not apply this if I'm in a rush just because I like to take my time to blend it perfectly. So of course it's not as quick and easy on the go as just dipping your brush into a powder highlighter, but this is so worth it. And then another formula from Colourpop, their only other highlighter formula, is their pressed powder formula. If I have several shades of a specific highlighter formula, I'm going to show you guys all of the shades that I own within that formula just so it's most helpful for you guys if you're looking for a particular color. So with this formula, you can either buy a highlighter palette from them. I would recommend the In Nude Endo palette. I haven't tried the Gimme More, but I've heard it's a little bit more chunky, a little bit more glittery, and this one is so finely milled and glossy and stunning. So if you're gonna buy a palette from them and you don't want to get singles, this is the one I would grab. As for singles, I have mine in the shade Here Kitty Kitty, and I cannot tell you guys, even begin to tell you guys, because I'm telling you guys right now, how many compliments I get when I wear these highlighters. It is a little ridiculous, but I'll take it. Colourpop killed it with this formula because I find this to be extremely comparable to the Anastasia Glow Kits, the Becca highlighters. Literally my favorite formulas ever. And the reason they're so similar is because they have this super finely milled formula, and when you apply it on the skin, it just melts in. It looks like gloss. They're extremely smooth and buttery on the skin, and they're very buildable too. So if you don't want a super intense highlighter, you can just go in with a little bit and you can do that. It's not like going to be a one swipe intensity kind of thing, but if you want that, build it up a little bit and you're gonna get that, and it's not gonna look too cakey or heavy at all. So depending on whether you're a palette kind of gal or a single kind of gal, I would definitely recommend trying out this formula. Next we have the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. I would say this is quite similar to the Revolution Soph highlighter palette, except this is more cream-like looking on the skin, not so much of a color cast. If you build up the Revolution one too much, then you will see a little bit of that color undertone on your face. That palette will give you more of an intense metallic highlighter effect, and while this is still intense, I find again that it gives more of a wet cream-like finish to the skin. It's funny because in the pan they really don't look that intense, they don't look that shiny, but I promise you once you put this on the face, it is beautiful. And I actually can use, and I love all of the shades in this palette, which is very rare because normally when I pick up a highlighter palette, you know, you don't use all the shades. And I feel like even if you do have a darker complexion, you could still pull these off because they don't have that heavy formula to it, heavy color undertone. And I find that you can really manipulate the intensity with these shades. You can go in with a light hand and have it just really pretty and natural looking, or you can really build up the wet, glossy, intense glow. Then we have the Milani Strobe Light Instant Glow Powder. I have mine in the shade Day Glow, and this has been an OG on my channel. I've had this for so long and I've used the crap out of this. I've traveled with it and it looks like I've barely made a dent in it. This is such a beautiful beginner-friendly highlighter product because it really just gives you the perfect, like, warm candlelight glow. It's finely milled. It looks like it's a part of your skin. It's not going to emphasize texture. One layer is going to give you a very pretty, even, natural, warm type of glow. If you want to build it up to be super intense, you definitely can do that, but you're going to have to go in a few times, but you can achieve it with this highlighter. There's no strong base pigment to this, and whenever I wear this in videos, one of you is always asking me what it is that I'm wearing, or someone's complimenting me on my highlighter. Another one from Milani. This is the Stellar Lights highlighter palette, and this one is in the shade Rose Glow. If you want that wow factor intensity from Milani, this is the one I would pick up. This palette is great because, again, it's going to cater to any skin tone, but realistically, for each person, you're probably only going to use one shade. If I really want to intensify my highlighter, I'll add this white shade in the very, very high points of my highlighter. You can add it to like the brow bone, inner corner. And then this rose gold shade is stunning, so I can mix it with the white, but I predominantly use this middle shade. And I have a deep, alarmingly deep, cluttered drawer of highlighters, and you can already see that I have already used the crap out of this. It's so good. This is one of the most wet metallic highlighters you will find at the drugstore, and I think what adds to this intensity is that it does have a bit of glitter in there, very finely milled though, very small, so it's not going to look chunky, it's not going to look fake. Yes, it's going to look fake because whose skin looks that shiny in real life, but you know what I mean, it's not chunks of glitter. The only downside with this is that you can get a little bit of fallout with this product, so I'd recommend tapping off your brush before you go in. You're gonna get enough intensity as it is. Like, you don't need to worry about that. You'll be fine. Next, I'm gonna show you one of the most incredible, truly high-end formulas at the drugstore. I am wowed every single time I apply the Maybelline Master Chrome metallic highlighters. I have the shade Molten Gold and Molten Rose Gold. Molten Gold is definitely my favorite just because I like that, you know, boring, as expected, champagne gold as a highlighter, of course. It's interesting because they look so rich and pigment heavy in the pan. The shade Molten Gold looks like it would be too deep for my skin tone, but for some reason, like every video that I see with someone using these, it just melts into their skin and is just like perfect for their skin tone, unless they have fair skin. If you have very fair skin, I would not recommend this shade. This has a very funky formula to it because to the touch, it feels like a cushiony, almost cream-like powder formula. It's that buttery and smooth. This might just be the most blinding drugstore highlighter, and not because of the shade, because I have a lot of blinding drugstore highlighters, but the intensity and the blindingness of it all is there also because of how maybe light the shade is. But regardless of whatever shade you pick up in this formula, these might be the most blinding, because if you took a true 24 karat gold bar and just melted it down, pressed it, put it in a pan, and somehow magically made it into a highlighter, that's the effect this gives you. You will have to be a little bit careful when applying these because of how intense they are, so they don't look like a stripe on your face, but they really do melt into the skin. Just don't go heavy-handed with your brush. Like, just dip in. Just dip in and you'll be fine. So another one, we've got the BH Cosmetics Spotlight Highlight Palette. These are so soft and creamy to the touch. They almost like fall apart when you touch them because of how smooth and soft they are. Like the Flower Beauty palette, when you're just looking at the powders, they don't look super intense, but I promise on the face, these act like Becca highlighters. This one, Dream, identical dupe for Champagne Pop, so I would just buy the palette for that. That's the shade I predominantly use. They have a very, very creamy, finely milled, beautiful, wet looking formula. These are also very beginner friendly, very easy to work with. They literally blend themselves out. Then we have the Sleek highlighting palette in the shade Solstice. This is like an OG, I feel like, YouTube love for the highlighter department. When this first came out, people were going ballistic over it with good reason, because I think this is a fantastic dupe for the Ofra highlighters, except this has a little bit more of a glittery effect. But again, it's very finely milled, and I think it really just adds to the intensity and sparkle and shine of the highlighter formula. So yes, since these have the intensity of the Ofra highlighters, please tap your brush off before you go in onto your face. Otherwise, you'll make a grave mistake. This is for full glam days. Don't even attempt to try to make this look natural in any way, because it won't happen, my friend. This palette is best for fair skin tones. This is even like quite light for me even. This is the shade I always dip into, and it looks like it's gonna be, you know, perfect peachy champagne, but it comes off so bright and so light. So even for me, like, I could not go lighter than this, but I can still make it work. I know that they have a more gold version called Cleopatra's Kiss, something like that. Might have to check that out. If you're someone who doesn't really like highlighter palettes, you just want a good single and you want something super affordable, but obviously something just really good, I would highly recommend the Wet n Wild Mega Glo highlighters. So I have the shades Precious Petals and Golden Flower Crown. Precious Petals is that beautiful champagne with a little bit of like a pinky peach undertone to it. And then Golden Flower Crown is just your classic champagne gold. They have an incredible selection of shades for fair skin tones, deep skin tones, those of you who like to go to festivals, or even if you're not going to festivals and you're going to the grocery store but you want to wear a purple highlighter, they have that option for you. And this will give you a beautiful metallic glow. The only warning I would give you guys with these is that if you have a lot of texture or you went into the very matte base that day, I would grab another highlighter, because these will not be forgiving towards you. But then it's weird, because if I'm having a good skin day and I have more of a hydrating base, they look so perfect and so smooth. It's very odd. It's like very polar opposites in my experience. I don't know if you guys have that as well. So yeah, I would just be aware of what your skin is looking like that day if you're thinking of applying these, because they will either emphasize texture, or if you're having a good skin day and you're having like a hydrating base, it will somehow make you look smoother. And then last is the Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duo, and I have mine in the shade Subtle Sunrise. For some reason, when I first tried these, my very first impression wasn't all that great, and I shared that first impression with you guys during a makeup haul. But since then, I haven't gotten that effect, so maybe that day I just had more of like a dry skin day. I don't know, maybe the foundation I was wearing that day was just a bit too matte or a bit too dry, so it kind of clung to that. But that first impression, I had a little bit of difficulty blending out the highlighter and making it not look stripy, but ever since that first impression, I've had no issues with this. It's very high shine, it's very metallic, and I hear so many people on YouTube raving about this, and I get a lot of compliments every single time I wear this highlighter. People are like, whoa. Whoa. And I found that this is very long lasting. I know some highlighters can fade throughout the day, but I don't get any of that with this highlighter. So that's all for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also know that the next video in this little drugstore series will be the best drugstore foundations. But I still have a lot of testing to do, so it won't be anytime really soon. But I'm getting on that for you. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. If you might want to see me in any more videos, I'd appreciate it so much. I hope you guys are having an amazing day and hope to see you in my next video. Bye!